Hey everybody, this is TimeRider. There's a YouTube publisher I follow who makes wonderful videos about his interests and talents, obviously acquired through a lifelong practice of hard work, persistence, and integrity. Well-spoken, he's an older gent, not unlike me, although he does possess a quiet grace that I readily admit I lack. He's a model railroader, something I did in my youth, a watercolor artist, and while my canvas was always silver bromide, I appreciate the painters of the world, and he restores dinky cars and trucks. His name is David Hyde, and you may have heard me mention him, and you'll find a link to his channel in the description of this video. I don't know if Mr. Hyde watches me, but I certainly watch him. Check him out if you don't already follow him. The first video of his I watched was a restoration of a Dinky 150 Rolls Royce. That's when I bought this. That was kind of a long time ago. You can tell by the green mat. Originally, I painted it black. I was never happy with it. So when I took it back apart, my thought was to do an interpretation of Arthur Bach's Rolls Royce from the movie Arthur, sort of a brown and cream. But the day I painted it, I couldn't help reach for the gray, and I'm going to restore this Dinky toy to its original condition. Here's to you, David. So as I said before, this was kind of a long time ago, and I was still using my old red vise. I don't even know where that is now. It was held together with 3 rolled over posts, 2 in the back and 1 in the front. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to put it back together yet, because it seemed like these posts were really thin, and I was afraid I was just going to blow them out if I tried to tap them. So once I got it apart, I had never done a Dinky before. It had that really interesting suspension. I wasn't really doing much with wheels back then. I was still kind of learning, so my intent was to pretty much just leave the chassis the way it was. And the window unit, fortunately, there was no cracks in the visible surfaces. They were all on the top and stuff, so, and they weren't that bad. But it was going to be needing a cleanup. The front grill piece was broken, and I sourced one, and it wasn't one of the big manufacturers. I got it from England, though, that much I do remember. And then, of course, the back bumper, I think I can just clean that up and chrome pen it. So anyway, the thing I remember doing this is how heavy it was, because I was used to dealing with 1/64th or so Matchbox, and this is like, I don't know if it's a 1/45th or a 1/48th, but that's the scale of it. And a lot of the Dinky toys were built to fit O-gauge rail systems. So, because if you remember back in the day, they had those 3-rail toy trains that were O-gauge. And here I am back to my citrus stripper, which I haven't used in a very long time. I still have some left. I should probably use the rest of it. And, it was before the days of the primordial ooze, where I still painted it on and then cleaned it up with, as my buddy down under would say, with washing fluid, getting it ready for paint. And then, of course, this was early on, so all I was really doing at this point was wire wheeling, and I was doing steel wool too, but I don't think I have any footage of me doing steel wool on this. In fact, I probably don't have a lot of footage, because I was still very much in the learning phase of how to make these videos. And of course, this was the first Dinky that I did. And then, the chrome pens, God, you love them. But Paul is exactly right. You have to go on, thick and wet. And I was still kind of learning at this point. I don't think it turned out too bad. I think it could have been better, though. And then the wheels, I took the tires off, and then I just scooched a bunch of chrome paint in there and then spread it around with a brush. I can tell by how this paint is going on that it's Tamiya primer. This was actually the first post-war Rolls-Royce that was built. And I was trying some new paint, this Model Master paint, and I liked the paint, but the problem that I had was, once I had used it, I couldn't get the doggone lid off. Because it was metal and glass, and man, that thing, it just welded itself shut. I'm fairly certain, too, that it was the last Model Master paint I bought. And it isn't that I think it's a bad product. I think they cater more, from what I saw, the selections, they cater more to the military guys. I could be wrong in that. I know Tamiya has a lot of those colors, too, and a lot of model builders out there. Again, this was early on, and I was still, learning. And I was trying new things. And what I'm doing here is I'm using Pledge as a top coat. And I had seen some modelers do this on a regular, like a plastic model. And so I thought I'd give it a try. I've also put it on with an airbrush, the Pledge. Thing is, God, it clogged my airbrush so bad and so quick. So I found out, hey, you know what? The stuff, it's supposed to level really well. And it's not bad. And this is how it turned out. And I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the paint job, I guess, all in. But I think that if you're going to do this all black like this, you have to deal with, you have to add some detail to it, like the chroming of the trim pieces and other things, and I think that would improve it immeasurably. So anyway, I decided to start over after a fashion. So I think, most of this stuff is just fine the way it is. The base, yeah, it's got a little bit of patina to it, and I think I'm just going to leave it alone. And boy, getting this window out was nuts, and I cracked it even worse. That was when I was using flexible adhesive. Now I use UV resin. This, I think it's the wrong color, so I'm going to have to chrome it with my chrome pen. And I'm going to redo this because I've learned better how to use those chrome pens. And I played around a little bit with trying to scrape the chrome like I've done in the past. I think if a guy was going to do it, though, he'd almost have to file that those chrome pieces a little bit flatter. It won't fit into my jar, and I got a whole bunch of new strippers, so I'm actually trying to use this up so I can clean it and refill it with new stripper. This car, it's still used by the Irish president and the Brazilian president for their presidential limousines. And of course, after I got it out of the goo, I got to clean it up a little bit, and I always start with the wire wheel. I think too, that I couldn't, I could have made this in the spirit of the Arthur Rolls-Royce, but it's the wrong year. If you look at the Rolls-Royce that Arthur drove in the movie, the trunk is a little bit different. I think this one's like a pre-55, and Arthur's in the movie was like a post-55. A little bit of steel wool. Try to do as good as I can. Better than I did before, getting this casting prepped. This car, not only Arthur, it's been in some 007 movies, and it's kind of an iconic limousine, I think, from a Hollywood standpoint. And now, of course, you know, polishing is something that I do all the time, so this one's going to get a polish that it didn't get the first time around. I really, you know, how well you prep your casting, boy, I know I've said it before, and I can't say it enough. Smoothest you can get it is going to impact your overall end result. And then, you know, this is lacquer thinner. And I'm, you know, paying special attention to all the crevices that this thing has, because there's polish in there. And then a little bit more vigorously with, maybe that's Marty's wife's toothbrush. I don't know. Somebody was asking me in our conversation the other day about that. And Duplicolor white. That's what I use mostly now, is Duplicolor primers. I really like how they lay. And then I thought that this gray had a little bit of blue to it, so I used some XF18, XF1, and XF2. And I'm trying to stay away from the top of the toy here. And this, of course, is a tack coat. And, you know, eventually, you know, what I'm going to do, of course, is tape it off and paint the top. And I wound up doing this in, I think I wound up doing 3 coats. And then once I was all said and done with that, I shot it all with semi-gloss clear. I was doing this almost as much just to seal the paint, because, you know, one thing about the doggone Tamiya acrylics is they, you know, until you get a good clear on them, they chip like mad. And I mean, I like Tamiya paint, it isn't that. And I bake it, and I bake this. So, last but not least, I said that I was going to re-chrome this, because it was like the wrong chrome. It didn't match the back, and I don't even think it was very chromey, for lack of a better term. I redid the back. I soaked it in brake fluid. I use these. This is from the Vectis auction site, and I use these a lot because the photography is well done. It looks like the lighting is proper, so I think you get a pretty good idea what something might look like, you know, when it's in good shape like this one is. But I don't know, I'll let you be the judge. Take a look at where I wound up and see if I got the colors correct. I think the gray I used on the top could have been just a little bit darker. I think I nailed the gray on the sides, though. I think that turned out really, really well, and I'm pretty happy with it. You know, the Dinky number 150 Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith. And I do this out of respect and honor to all those people that still pick up a car, a toy like this, and make it look like it did the day that it was new. And there'll be an episode of The Bench, so stick around if you like that kind of thing. This is TimeRider, and I'm going to leave the light on for you. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around for this edition of The Bench. You know, when we had our discussion the other night, it was brought up about how postage costs across the pond, or anywhere overseas for that matter, are just outrageous. And, you know, we want to give everybody who wants to participate in our build, the Three Blind Mice builds, an opportunity to do so. So Paul and George and I are going to let you know all the castings we're going to do for 2020. So that way, if you can, you know, look around, get the best price, whatever you can do, because we want as many people to participate as possible. So that said, my castings are, of course, we know about the Anglia. And I want you to know I research all these castings, and you can get this Anglia usually for not very much money. It probably costs you more for shipping than it will for the actual car. And then I'm also doing May, and in May I'm going to do this 66 Nova Coupe. And again, you can get this one on eBay. It's a fairly common casting. And then in August, I loved doing that Christmas build so much. We're going to do a hauling gas as a Three Blind Mice build. So hopefully people will have some fun with that. And then I'm doing November, where I'm going to do this Aston Martin 177. So, and then let's not forget this Nova panel that we're doing this month. And we had to move the date back a week to January 25th because, somebody caused a delay. And then Coffee with Bill, the first edition, this Saturday at 10 o'clock my time, which is Greenwich Mean Time -5. That's 10 o'clock in the morning. I hope that that folks can make it. We can talk about whatever. And then I'll try to move the times around so that more people from other places can participate if they'd like. And then also, one of the things I got going on is I'm working on this Matchbox. It's a super fast 260Z, and I'm in the process of trying to polish it because I'm going to paint this thing with Spectraflame. I think it's going to turn out really nice. And then I don't have any restores going on right now, so I'm going to start working on this Lotus. I've had it sitting on my bench forever, and I just keep meaning to do it, and I have the decals, and I got a new driver, so I'm going to do this Lotus. And that's all I got for you right now. I hope everybody has a good rest of your week, and I hope to see you all on Saturday for Coffee with Bill. This is TimeRider. Thumb up, thumb down, as you wish. Doesn't matter to me. And if you're going to make a comment, please be respectful and be safe out there. I'll see you at the next video.